there also is commenting the same thing. In both the cases, the word satatam is there. So therefore, he says the word satatam, as far as sadhakas is concerned, is every day and not every second. So that means what? At least some fixed time of every day we should devote to exclusive remembrance of Krishna. And that is what our acharyas have given us, and that is what Srila Prabhupada has given us. What? Especially the morning program. Especially the morning program for exclusive remembrance on Krishna. And of course, Srila Prabhupada also gave us the evening program. Gaurarti, Bhagavad Gita class, and reading Krishna book. This is Prabhupada's evening program. So Srila Prabhupada wanted both. Any case, of course, Srila Prabhupada did give a little more emphasis on the morning program. So if we do this properly, then by the mercy of the acharyas, there's a good possibility that when we are rendering services during the rest of the day, we'll be able to remember Krishna. And at least, if you're not able to remember Krishna, at least we'll do it in the consciousness that I'm doing this service for Krishna. Let me do it with proper attention and quality. At least we'll be in that consciousness. Even though we may not be able to exactly remember Krishna's form and things like that. Of course, we can always try by chanting, putting on some kirtan if possible, or whatever. But even if that is not possible, at least if we are focusing on the morning program, then the rest of the day, by the Acharya's mercy, we'll be able to fix our minds on Krishna. At least understand I'm performing the service for Krishna. So just like if somebody is cooking for the deities, and somebody thinks, well, I should remember Krishna while cooking. So let me hear Bhagavatam during the cooking. And the person is so absorbed in hearing the Bhagavatam that the preparation he cooks burns. Is it useful? Has the remembrance of Krishna been successful? It's useless. That sort of remembrance is useless. So the cooking is for whom? The cooking is for Krishna. So therefore the remembrance of Krishna should lead to first class cooking. So therefore, the goal must be very clear. What is my purpose? So yes, one can focus fully on the quality of the cooking, the quality of the service. But one will be able to do that when? When one is in the consciousness that I'm doing this for Krishna. I'm doing this for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. Then there'll be quality of the service. Otherwise, ठीक है, बोला है, कुछ तो करेंगे, चलो, खत्म करना है. That'll be the consciousness. Is it okay? Anything else?
Regarding you were telling win-win situation. So Indra is wanting material enjoyment and he's getting that, and Vritrasura back to Godhead, so he's getting that. So like Lord Shiva, he's Ashutosh. So if someone wants material boon, he gives very easily and he performs his bhajan.
Correct.
So if sometimes we are in that case, if we see some scam or fraud going on, so we should be in our bhajan and keep there involved, or we should enter there, or
so the first question is, which fraud? Is it about politicians' fraud?
No, in our society, in Krishna conscious society.
Okay. Now, if you say in our society, that day Gaurang Prabhu was saying there are 1200 centers in ISKCON. So which society you're talking about?
Our present where I am staying, so in that sense.
Okay.
So,
One has to be very specific. Okay. So now if you say, if it's the center where I'm staying, then the next question that arises is that in connection to my service? That is the next question.
That may not be directly. I'm
Oh.
not the appointed one for that thing.
Okay. So if I'm not appointed for that service where the scam is going on, but I'm observing major scam which could affect the society, which could affect devotees, then what do you think we should do? Keep silent? Yes, it becomes our duty to report to the concerned authorities. So if an offense against a Vaishnava is taking place, if I'm seeing an offense taking place against a Vaishnava and I don't do anything about it, then what happens? I become a part of the offense, right? So therefore, if I'm seeing some nonsense going on right in front of my eyes, and if we know definitely that is going to affect devotees, it is going to affect the society, Krishna's society, Prabhupada's society, if I know that, then definitely it becomes as a member of this society, it becomes my duty to report it. So, becoming a Vaishnav does not mean that I simply do my bhajan and let everything go to hell. Srila Prabhupada is saying this in a lecture which he gave in Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada is saying, becoming a Vaishnava does not mean that I simply chant and let the thieves come and loot the temple, I don't care. Prabhupada is saying it. You can hear. So he says, so the Vaishnava should be daksha, very expert. And then he's given the example of Raghunath Das Goswami. He tells that story, you know the story, no? Before he became Raghunath Das Goswami, when it was Raghunath at home, staying with his father and uncle, then that Muslim tax collector comes, and then his father and uncle had gone away, and then he speaks very sweetly and somehow convinces him. You know the pastime, right? So Prabhupada is quoting that story to show that how the Vaishnava is daksha. And to give an example from Srila Prabhupada's own life, of course, Srila Prabhupada was the founder acharya, so definitely he had to be concerned with everything that's happening in the society. But just to give an example, how Srila Prabhupada was so meticulous, maybe I told this before. So Srila Prabhupada was on the roof of his apartment in Juhu land. So this was before the temple was constructed. So as we know, there were tenant buildings and Prabhupada had one of those apartments. So he was on the roof. You can see Prabhupada's photos are also there, Srila Prabhupada on the roof of his apartment. And at that time, there were many coconut trees. Now there are very few actually. But during Prabhupada's times, there were many coconut trees. And so obviously, who has time to cut all those coconuts? So they gave on contracts. So some person would come and cut the coconuts, sell them and give some percentage. And so one day Srila Prabhupada is sitting over there and he's seeing that man cutting the coconuts. And then Srila Prabhupada, as he's watching, Srila Prabhupada calls the manager of the temple. I don't know who it was, whoever. And then Srila Prabhupada, that devotee comes and Srila Prabhupada is saying, what is this happening? Nobody sees what is happening. The devotee is, Srila Prabhupada, what's happening? Just see what is happening. The devotee looks, he cannot make out anything. So he's asking Srila Prabhupada, I can't understand what's happening. Can't you see that man? Along with the coconuts, he is also cutting the leaves. Because coconut leaves are also very valuable, na? They make jhadu with those coconut leaves. Roof of cottages also. So, especially those days, nowadays we don't know. but the leaves are also very valuable. So Prabhupada is noticing that. He's cutting some leaves also along with the coconuts. So that was how Prabhupada was meticulous. Every paisa. There are many pastimes, we can tell. But that's how meticulous Prabhupada was. So, not that, okay, things are getting wasted, it's okay. So, if we notice some things which are too extreme, especially, then we definitely need to report. May not be every small thing, so many things happen, especially. But if something is too extreme, definitely we need to report. ठीक है ना?
Hare Krishna. Pray that you spoke about success. That was very important and very nicely elaborated. But still, just wanted to know your thoughts about it, because many times the things around us, our surroundings, they're in such a way that where the results are being asked or something. That is what is
Emphasized.
counted, emphasized. So how can we both the things more?
Yeah, so therefore, we did clarify that point. We are not saying that results are not important. Prabhupada also emphasized on results. We are not saying the results are not important. But focusing only on the results without the internal purification and the development of good qualities, that is useless. So if I only focus on the external results, external show, name and fame, followers, I just focus on all this, and all my endeavors are in that direction, and my sadhana, internal purification, everything goes for a toss, what's the use? Then it is like the huge tree with weak roots, or the huge building with a weak foundation. What will happen? Yes. So, yes, according to our capacity, whatever is our capacity, it may be different. Different people have different capacity, no problem. But according to our capacity, we should definitely try for the results in whatever service we are rendering. But at the same time, we cannot compromise on our basic purificatory processes that Srila Prabhupada has emphasized. That we cannot compromise. So, the basic program, Prabhupada again and again, so many references, quotes, again and again, minimum 16 rounds. That is minimum. So, at least minimum 16 rounds must be good quality. That's minimum standard, Prabhupada's. Minimum 16 rounds, minimum 2 hours of hearing every day. This is minimum standard, Prabhupada's given. Over and above that, well and good. But that's minimum. If you're not even able to do this minimum properly, then the goal is being missed. Then the external show also may not go for long. And even if it goes on, ultimately, what is the use? One has missed the point. So therefore, appropriate balance. That is what is important.
Regarding this detachment, yeah, we have so many responsibilities. Although we are in Brahmacharya ashram, we have to deal with so many things and we have so many responsibilities. Then to understand the principle of detachment, because sometimes in the name of detachment, the responsibilities are not taken care properly, or in the name of responsibilities, we are forgetting means we are not applying the principle of detachment. So what is the right balance for us, especially because we are living in cities and preaching and deal with so many things? So how to understand the principle of detachment?
So, as far as detachment as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and taught by Srila Prabhupada is concerned, what is the detachment they have taught us? Yukta Vairagya. Correct. We already had discussion that day on Yukta Vairagya. So, so therefore, in using things in Krishna's service, then we have to know what is our adhikar. How much can we use, how much can we not use, and accordingly we have to decide. The same principle applies even for responsibilities, services, the same principle applies. So therefore, so if I take up a service where I'm so much in anxiety that I cannot focus on my basic sadhana, then there's a problem, right? That means I don't have the adhikar for that service. So then better take up a service which is according to my capacity and by which I can try to focus on my basic sadhana. I can maintain that good balance and be peaceful and progress. So if I don't have that adhikar, then better consult with seniors and make the necessary changes. That's one aspect. So therefore, but at the same time, when one is given a responsibility and when one is supposed to take that responsibility, then every aspect of the responsibility must be done meticulously. There is no question of compromise. Because when you speak of love, every service that we are rendering within the ISKCON society, whether it is brooming the floor or whether it's deity worship or cooking or whatever, ultimately all services we are rendering for whom? We're doing for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So if we have love for them, then every service we need to do meticulously, very carefully. So there is no question of irresponsibility. So this is service for Krishna. So if we are detached, then we are saying I'm detached from Krishna. How can I be detached? So I have to perform the service meticulously because it is meant for Krishna. That is the exhibition of love for Krishna, isn't it? When I do the service meticulously, paying attention to all the details. What I need to be detached from is the outcome. To give example, so we can give examples in any service that we are doing. The other day we were giving example of the Krishna being dressed as Santa Claus. Correct. So the pujari may do that dressing very meticulously. But why is he doing? If he is doing it simply for attracting the public without attracting Krishna, then what is the use? So therefore, service needs to be rendered with the purpose for pleasing Krishna, and one needs to be detached from personal sense gratification in the service. That is what one needs to be detached from. Attachment should be to Krishna, and detachment should be from personal sense gratification within that service, whatever it may be. So the same principle applies everywhere. So if I'm doing kirtan, so I want to do kirtan in fancy ways and funny ways, just so that people will say, wow, what an amazing kirtan. It was so fabulous, so fantastic, out of the world. So if that is my goal, then I've missed the point. So yes, I need to do the kirtan very carefully as well as possible, as good as possible, according to my capacity, in accordance to what the acharyas want, and not in accordance to public opinion so that I will get some reputation. Same thing applies to preaching. How I give a class. So do I give a class putting so much of masala, cooked up stories and jokes and all that, so that people will be impressed? No. Yes, so you're understanding the two extremes? You're understanding the two extremes? One extreme is being totally irresponsible, where I don't care for the quality of the service. And I'm just doing something. The other extreme is where one is taking care of the quality of the service, but with wrong motivations. Both are wrong. So I need to take care of the quality of the service with the right motivations for pleasing Guru and Krishna. So what we need to be detached from, while being attached to the quality of the service, one needs to be detached from personal motives and personal sense gratification in the service. So then we will be able to go on the proper path for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. ठीक है? Okay, text 22. Pumsam kilaikant dhyam swakanam ya sampado divi bhumau rasayam narati yadvesho dvega adhir madha kalir vyasanam samprayasaha.
Persons who fully surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always think of his lotus feet are accepted and recognized by the Lord as his own personal assistant or servants. The Lord never bestow upon such servant the brilliant opulences of the upper, lower, and middle planetary system of this material world. When one possesses material opulence in any of these three divisions of the universe, his possession naturally increases his enmity, anxiety, mental agitation, pride, and belligerence. Thus, one goes through such endeavor to increase and maintain his possessions, and he suffers great unhappiness when he loses them.
So belligerence means aggressive behavior. Aggressive. So here, so in the previous verse, Vritanasur said, we were talking about the win-win situation. So he says, okay, very nice. Take your thunderbolt, kill me. I'll also win. You'll also win. Both of us happy. And so here he's saying, as far as the Lord is concerned, he will never give me material opulence. He will give you material opulence, but he will never give me material opulence. Why? Because the Lord never gives material opulence to one who is fully surrendered. Pumsam kila ekant dhyam. For those who are ekant dhyam, whose minds, whose consciousness are fixed on the Supreme Lord, or as Prabhupada translates it as, those who are fully surrendered to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So for those who are ekant dhyam and who are swakanam means basically those who belong to the Lord. And the Lord considers these people to be his own, swakanam, his own family, who are recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his own. So for such people, Ya Sampada, so he never gives Sampada. And Divi, Bhumau, Rasayam, Na Rati, Na Rati. He never bestows all this material opulence of the three worlds to those who are Ekant Diyam and Swakanam. Why he does not give? Why he does not give? Yat, because of all this material opulence, what will be the result? Dvesha, Udvega, Adi, Madha, Kali, Vyasanam. Samprayasa. All these are the results of material opulence. Okay, you can open one section. You can on this projector. If anybody is feeling hot, you can on the fans. Up to you. I'm okay. Maybe it's a little behind that one. Okay. I don't know if they want. Okay, this one also little speed. वो पीछे क्यों? पीछे कोई नहीं है। आज आपको चाहिए? Okay, so seventh canto. क्या हो गया? नहीं आ रहा है? Okay, fine. Okay, fine. You open. 7th canto, 13th chapter, text 32. 32? Huh? Yes. Pashyami. This is the Avadut Brahman speaking to Prahlad Maharaj. Huh? So this Avadut Brahman is speaking to Prahlad Maharaj. Pashyami, I have seen. So he is narrating his own experience. What he has seen, what he has experienced.
Dhani Nam.
Translation. Read the translation.
The Brahmana continued, I am actually seeing how a rich man who is a victim of his senses is very greedy to accumulate wealth and therefore suffers from insomnia due to fear from all sides, despite his wealth and opulence.
Yes, so this is the first effect of material opulence, wealth. You got it, no? Right. So the first effect is, go to the verse. Pashyami dhaninam klesham lubdhanam ajitatmanam. So those who are dhaninam, those who have a lot of wealth, lubdhanam means what? Greedy, ajitatmanam, no control over mind and senses. Then he has to go through so many kleshas. The whole list is giving. The first one is bhayad alabdha nidrana. No nidra. He loses his sleep, insomnia. So Prabhupada is explaining, see, he's earning wealth for what? He's earning wealth for peaceful life. But that very wealth takes away all his peace and it cannot even get sleep. Then why has he earned wealth? And Prabhupada is writing that then he has to take sleeping pills and sometimes even the sleeping pills don't work. That is the result of earning wealth. Next. Okay, wait. Here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is giving a very important instruction for ISKCON devotees, here especially ISKCON preachers. Now Prabhupada quotes this verse, Anasaktasya Vishwan, and is quoting this Yukta Vairagya. Now read from here. Money is undoubtedly coming.
Money is undoubtedly coming in great quantities, but we should not be attached to this money for sense gratification.
Yes. So money is coming, and there is no problem in earning money also. But what one should not be attached to? Personal sense gratification. The money should not be used for personal sense gratification. Go ahead.
Every cent should be spent for spreading the Krishna consciousness movement, not for sense gratification. There is a danger for a preacher when he receives great quantities of money. For as soon as he spends even a single cent for the collection of his personal sense gratification, he becomes a fallen victim. The preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement should be extremely careful not to misuse the immense quantities of money needed to spread this movement. Let us not make this money the cause of our distress. It should be used for Krishna, and that will cause our eternal happiness. Money is Lakshmi, or the goddess of fortune, the companion of Narayan. Lakshmi ji must always remain with Narayan, and then there need be no fear of degradation.
Yes. Not a cent. If you want to put it in Indian terms,
Paisa.
not a paisa. These days, of course, no paisa also. Previously, there was Anna. Now, no Anna, no paisa. Anyways, whatever. So, but not a paisa should be used for sense gratification. So, Prabhupada is giving warning to preachers. So, preachers get a lot of money. But if the money is used for sense gratification, then what? He's a fallen victim. And the reason why we are discussing this a little bit elaborately, just as, he's saying, Pashyami, I have seen. So over the few years that we have spent, we have also seen how many disasters have taken place due to money. And we don't have to go too far, right over here. We have seen over the years so many big disasters, quarrels, relationships breaking, people giving up Krishna consciousness, everything we have seen. Only one reason, what? Money being used for sense gratification. That's the reason. Because in the first canto we have read, when Kaliraj told Parikshit Maharaj, these 4 places of sinful activities don't exist in your kingdom, then he gave special place, what? Yes, where there is accumulation of golds. Now there is no golds. Now it is all paper currency, but same thing. Huh? Now virtual currency, more advancement. Yeah. But whatever it is, the principle remains the same. So, Kaliraj resides there. Therefore, if we are not careful in dealing with money, Prabhupada has given this warning. You see, right at that time when he was writing his purports, he knew what is going to happen in the future. The Acharyas are visionaries. So right over there, Prabhupada has given warnings. And we can practically see that. If we are not careful in utilizing money, and especially anyone tries to use money for sense gratification illegally, big disaster, big dangers. It's everywhere. Practically, we have not seen a single center where there have been no problems due to money. Everywhere it is there. Big, big problems. And sometimes things being done by apparently good devotees in good standing. But that's the power of Kali, and that's the power of Maya. Therefore, one should not underestimate the instructions of the Acharya. The temptations are very strong. And therefore, Prabhupada is writing, what is that? Where is it? The last sentence of the purport. Let us not make this money the cause of our distress. It is definite. If we use it for sense gratification, what is definite? Distress. So it should be used for Krishna, and that will cause our eternal happiness. One of the major causes for serious problems within ISKCON after the departure of Srila Prabhupada was the same reason. Leaders trying to achieve money through various illegal means. Not recommended by the Acharyas. Okay, since you asked, I'll tell. So, and of course, it's all there in the history of ISKCON. There's nothing to be hidden. You can ask devotees. So one was selling all sorts of things to earn money. Totally non-devotional. Nothing to do with devotional service, but just selling, just plain simple business. And going anywhere and everywhere and selling things just to make money. This is a very mild one I've told. But then this was being done. And it went to great extremes also in some places of looting and whatnot. But instead of preaching, as Srila Prabhupada said, you preach, you please Krishna, and everything else will come. But rather than doing that, they gave up the preaching and they tried to earn money by illegal means. And the result was disaster after disaster. You know that. Leaders leaving, gurus leaving, temples closing, devotees disappearing. The whole movement collapsed. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada hammers in his lectures, devotional service is a science. How many times Prabhupada hammers it? Science means what? You follow it, the results are definite. You don't follow it, the results are also definite. So we should not think, oh, Prabhupada has written, just for fun he has written all these things. We are smart people. So nobody discusses all these things. Even if they read, they'll superficially just turn the pages and think, oh, okay, what's it? Prabhupada has written. Therefore, Prabhupada didn't want that type of reading. How many quotes you'll find Srila Prabhupada? Scrutinizingly reading, studying. So many quotes. Prabhupada is giving all these meticulous instructions. Prabhupada did his service meticulously, no doubt about that. And he's giving all these instructions for us to read, understand, and apply. If we don't take them seriously, then that result is definite. What Prabhupada is writing there. Okay, let's go ahead. You got your answer, right? Okay. So then here he says, why the person is afraid? Because so many people are out there to take away the money. Those who are considered materially powerful and rich are always full of anxieties because government laws, thieves, rogues, enemies, family members, animals, birds, persons in charity, inevitable time factor. And they are afraid of even their own selves. What do you think? Why they're afraid of their own self? They don't have control over themselves. Okay, fine. So anyways, Prabhupada is explaining in the purport. So he begins with that. The word swasmat means from one's own self. Because of attachment for money, the richest person is even afraid of himself. He fears that he may have locked his money in an unsafe manner or might have committed some mistake. So somebody who has a lot of wealth and he has put it in his cupboard, stacked it. You have heard some politicians having stacks within their cupboards. So then such a person is always afraid, did I lock it or no? Where did I keep the key? That is how he is afraid of even himself. And so many other people. Next. Now he talks about verse. Minimum 7 effects of accumulating money. Minimum 7. Adi also he says. What are they? Shoka, Moha, Bhaya, Krodha, Raga, Klebya, Shrama, Adaya. So these are 7. And etc. and many more, but at least these 7. For whom yan mula syu ninam jayat. Ninam means human beings. Problem is only for human beings, right? No other species have problems. So ninam, yan mula, the root cause of all these, shoka moya, all these is what? Spriham. Spriham means desire. For what? Prana artayor buddha. Now you go to the word meaning and see what is the translation of prana and artha.
Prana for bodily strength or prestige.
Yes, prana is bodily strength or prestige, and artha is
Accumulating money.
So even prestige is there. So brahmacharis may think, oh, we don't have so much to do with money. But what about prestige? Kanaka Kamini Pratishtha. So one may think, okay, Kanaka Kamini, I don't have much to do. But what about Pratishtha? Same problem. Both are put together. Prana Arthayo, both are put together. If one has a desire to accumulate either wealth or prestige, that means gross sense gratification, subtle sense gratification. If one has that desire, then one has to face all these consequences. Shoka. If one has great desire, Oh, nobody's seeing my videos. I'm trying to improve the quality. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but nobody's seeing. That fellow has got 1,000,000 followers. Nobody is seeing mine. Not even 100. What is it? Shoka. So much of shoka. And then what? Moha. Then all this is bodily attachment. Bodily attachment leads to illusion, more bodily consciousness. Then what? Bhai. Fear is always there. If somebody has wealth, we've already seen that. Always there is competition. Always there's fear of losing it. Same thing applies to prestige also. If somebody has prestige, fame, he's always afraid maybe some competitor will come, he'll take away the prestige, he'll become more famous. So the bhai is there. Then krodha, if one does not get it, there is krodha. Then any material things, raga, attachment. So if one is attached either to wealth or to prestige, then one will try all one's ways and means to retain it, because the attachment is so strong. So strong. Then one will struggle to somehow maintain the status quo. So anyway, we recently visited one place. So the devotee there was telling, here in this place is famous for the maximum number of Mercedes-Benz cars. That place has a lot of businessmen. No, within India. So he was saying that why? Status. Yes, prestige. So they may take loan and buy the car and do all those things, but they will still prestige. Then what next? Plebya, poverty. Lakshmi is chanchal. If there is no Narayan, what will happen? It has happened within our society also. Same thing. And then if one wants money or prestige, shrama, nothing is going to come easy. One has to work hard for it. Rupa Goswami also is saying, atyara, prayas. If one wants atyar, then prayas is required. And so on. Yes. All these are the effects of unnecessarily accumulating wealth or prestige. So these are realizations of this Avadut Brahman. These are realizations. Nothing is wrong. Everything is perfect. Somebody may think, oh, what that Avadut, what he knows about money. But these are transcendental realizations. Not necessary that one has to earn money to get realizations. He already did everything, that's another thing. But even if one has not, but still transcendental realizations is knowledge revealed by the Supreme Lord. Okay, go ahead. Here again Prabhupada gives warnings for ISKCON devotees. Okay.
According to Vedic civilization, the ultimate perfection of life is to take sannyas. But at the present moment, people do not know why sannyas is accepted. Because of misunderstanding, they think that one accepts sannyas to escape social responsibilities. But one does not accept sannyas to escape from responsibility to society. Generally, one accepts sannyas at the fourth stage of spiritual life. One begins as a brahmachari, then becomes a grahastha, a vanaprastha, and finally a sannyasi. To take advantage of the duration of one's life by engaging oneself fully in self-realization. Sannyas does not mean begging from door to door.
Yes, sannyas does not mean. What does sannyas not mean?
Begging door to door.
To accumulate money for Sense gratification. Okay.
However, because in Kali Yuga, people are more or less prone to sense gratification, immature sannyas is not recommended.
Yes, so this is the problem. In Kali Yuga, most people are attached to sense gratification, and therefore sannyas becomes very difficult. Okay, then he's speaking about this Atyara Prayasi, all that. Okay, then go to the, where's that? Sannyasi.
Sannyasi should have an institution meant to preach Krishna consciousness. He need not accumulate money for himself.
Okay, so institution is there to preach Krishna consciousness. Then when institution is there, money is required, but the money is not meant for personal sense gratification. So therefore, as soon as Srila Prabhupada would get money, immediately would spend it for preaching. Okay.
We recommend that as soon as money accumulates in our Krishna consciousness movement, 50% of it should be invested in printing books and 50% for expenditures, especially in establishing centers all over the world. The managers of Krishna consciousness movement should be extremely cautious in regard to this.
Now, this is warning for managers. Previous purport, preachers, here managers.
Otherwise, money will be the cause of lamentation, illusion, fear, anger, material attachment, material poverty, and unnecessary hard work.
Okay, so if one is not careful, then one will have to face all those minimum 7 effects. One will have to face. This is science. Nobody escapes. If one is not careful, one is unnecessarily accumulating money, misusing money, one will have to face all that.
When I was alone in Vrindavan, I never attempted to construct mathas or temples. Rather, I was fully satisfied with small amount of money I could gather by selling back to Godhead. And thus, I would provide for myself and also print the literature. When I went to foreign countries, I lived according to the same principle. But when Europeans and Americans began to give money profusely, I started temples and deity worship. The same principle still should be followed.
Still be followed.
Whatever money is collected should be spent for Krishna and not for a farthing for sense gratification. This is the Bhagavad principle.
Yes, again Prabhupada is repeating that. Not a farthing for sense gratification. Everything for Krishna. So all these are very important instructions. And the same thing here, Vritarasura is also saying, and therefore here also is saying that if one gets material opulence in any of the 3 divisions of the universe, then what will be the result? Dvesha, Udvega, Adi, Madha, Kali, Vyasanam, same things. So same things. When one has money, then somebody is going to become envious, then there'll be so much Udvega, anxiety. We saw so much of anxiety to keep the money, safeguard the money, so much of mental agitation, then there'll be pride. So all these are the results. So therefore, what Vritarasura is saying, for those who are ekant diyam swakanam, the Lord will not give all this material opulence. Somebody may say, oh, but Prabhupada got so much of material opulence. 40 rupees into 40 crores. And now so many crores. Now millions. Why? Of course, the Lord gave to Srila Prabhupada. Why? Yes. Because the Lord knew for sure that Srila Prabhupada would use every paisa for Krishna's service. So Srila Prabhupada gave. But then, after Srila Prabhupada left the planet, then when devotees did not use the money properly, then what happened? Krishna took away everything. Everything finished. Same principle. So these are eternal principles given in Shastra. It does not matter where. It could be America, it could be India, it could be Europe, it could be anywhere. Principles are principles. They always remain. These are eternal Shastric truths. Individually and collectively, the same principle applies. If we follow, we'll get the benefit. If we don't follow, we have to face this. Yes.
Regarding depositing money, I also had this doubt. Same context came. That Prabhupada is telling print books or invest in expenses. But generally, in many temples also the deposit schemes are there. Corpus funds, devotees deposit for quite a period of time. And it's also accumulated. Every year it gets accumulated. Wanted to know the is it you should accept it as full standard and follow it, or
See, the principle should be understood. The principle is what? Using everything in Krishna's service. That is the principle. Now, depending upon time, place, circumstances, some adjustments may have to be required, may be required. So that we cannot comment as to what is necessary, what is not necessary. That everyone has to see for themselves. But in any case, the principle is what? Using everything in Krishna's service. That is the principle. So if some accumulation is required, some maybe, I don't
the
know.
purpose there is mentioning that managers should be extremely cautious.
So cautious in terms of utilizing the money for the right purposes. That is the caution. That is the principle to understand. Okay, somebody can read this purport before we take a break. Nice purport. 22.
In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajamyam mam mama vartamanu vartante manushya partha sarvasa. As devotees surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Both Indra and Vritrasura were certainly devotees of the Lord, although Indra took instructions from Vishnu to kill Vritrasura. The Lord was actually more favorable to Vritrasura because after being killed by Indra's thunderbolt, Vritrasura would go back to Godhead. Whereas the victorious Indra would rot in this material world. Because both of them were devotees, the Lord awarded them the respective benedictions they wanted.
Respective benedictions they wanted. So everything is based on desire of the jiva.
Vritrasura never wanted material possessions, for he knew very well the nature of such possessions. To accumulate material possessions, one must labor very hard, and when he gets them, he creates many enemies because this material world is always full of rivalry. If one becomes rich, his friends or relatives are envious. For Ekanta Bhaktas, unalloyed devotees, Krishna therefore never provides material possessions. A devotee sometimes needs some material possessions for preaching, but the possessions of a preacher are not like those of Karmi. A Karmi's possessions are achieved as a result of karma, but those of a devotee are arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to facilitate his devotional activities. Because a devotee never uses material possessions for any purpose other than the service of the Lord, the possessions of a devotee are not to be compared to those of a karmi.
Yes. Okay, so karmi's possessions, opulences are given based upon his karma. Devotees is given by the Supreme Lord himself. So Supreme Lord gives when? Because a devotee never uses material possessions for any purpose other than the service of the Lord. So when devotee is using them appropriately, then Krishna gives. And when Krishna sees that they're not being used appropriately, Krishna will take away. That is the principle. Now, just like we say in the case of Arjuna, first canto, Arjuna says, "I am the same Arjuna, same Gandhi. Where have the powers gone?" When Krishna wanted, he gave the powers. When Krishna wanted, took them away. Boli. Balance what?
It's also people become envious in and if you don't do anything, then also devotees not means they become envious like that. He is why the manager is not calling him, he's not doing service. It's very difficult. So how to balance Puji? Like I think you are better situated Puji, because
No, what is your main question?
very difficult Puji. This is very difficult
What is difficult?
to balance between
Balance what?
uh, this mentality, that devotional mentality, that
Uh-huh.
everything's is Lord's and we have to act for His service.
Uh-huh.
And even in preaching also, if you get success also,
Mm.
then both side is danger actually. If you don't do, then also danger.
So, Krishna never says, don't do your duty. Krishna never told Arjuna, don't fight. You simply sit on the chariot, I'll fight for you. No, we have to do our duty and be detached from the results. Simply as Srila Prabhupada did. Srila Prabhupada was doing his duty of preaching, instruction given by a spiritual master. Did people become envious or no? Did he stop preaching? No. We have to do our duty. That's all. Prahlad was doing his duty. His own father became envious. Did he stop preaching? No. This is what is the essential message of the Gita. The essential message of the whole Gita is do your duty without attachment to results. So problems are going to be there. As you rightly said, yes, whether one does or not, there are always people who are going to comment and become envious. You know, Prabhupada told the story, no? Of that man, his son, and the donkey or the horse or whatever. So whether you sit on the horse or you get down from the horse, both are problem. It's like that. So therefore, that's the whole point. If we are attached to the results, then we will either give up duty or modify our duty in a way so that I get good reputation. But when one is attached to duty for the sake of pleasing Krishna, then as Srila Prabhupada said, the dogs bark and the elephant moves on. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. Otherwise, how many people were barking? In the Western world, so many problems. In some places, police were arresting devotees. Some places, brainwashing case. In India, CIA. And in India, the caste Brahmanas were saying, what is the Swamiji doing? Turning lectures into Brahmanas. And some disciples were doing funny things. Some were giving up sannyas. Some were selling temples. Right in front of Prabhupada. How many difficulties, how many challenges. God brothers, they were creating problems. They were envious. How many problems? Did Srila Prabhupada ever stop? Every day his schedule never changed. Giraj Maharaj writes in his book, Juhu Story, when the issue was at its peak, when after Mr. N departed, the problem never stopped because there was Mrs. N. And then, so now the final stage came. Mrs. N came for discussion. And the discussion was in some life member's place. Some place, life member, well-wisher, somewhere. So now, those that life member or well-wisher, they had also organized a program for Prabhupada, and this intense, tense issue was going on. So Srila Prabhupada came a little early, along with some devotees, and Mrs. N had not yet come. So, and in the meantime, the time for the program also was, passing. So Srila Prabhupada, till Mrs. N came, Srila Prabhupada went and gave his program, his lecture. Absolutely no difference. It made no difference. It was not that Prabhupada was in anxiety, he was in tension, somehow he was trying to speak. No, absolutely no difference. He gave his lecture as if nothing had happened. He gave his class. After he gave his class, Mrs. N came. He dealt with the problem. That was Srila Prabhupada. Why? We discussed this yesterday. What is the cause of a devotee's fearlessness? Huh? Dependence on Krishna's mercy. Devotee is never thinking, I am the doer, what will happen? No. Devotee does his duty and depends on Krishna. That's why he's fearless. No anxiety. That's what we have to do. Mahajano yena gata sapanta. We have to follow the footsteps of these great acharyas. So yes, material world means problems. You do also problem, you don't do also problem. That's correct. So I have to know what is my duty and I have to go ahead with that duty. Problems will be there. ठीक है ना? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, 10 minutes break. Okay. Text 23. So Vritranasura is going ahead with the same theme. Traivargikaya sa vighatam asmat patir vidatte purushasya shakra tatu no me yo bhagavat prasado yo durlabho kinchana gocharonye.
Our Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, forbids his devotees to endeavor uselessly for religion, economic development, and sense gratification. O Indra, one can thus infer how kind the Lord is. Such mercy is obtainable only by unalloyed devotees, not by persons who aspire for material gains.
Okay, so same thing. So Lord, he is not in favor of devotees striving, endeavoring for Traivargika. Traivargika means dharma, artha, kama. So he doesn't want ayasa vigatam asmat. So our Pati, the Lord, he does not want devotees to endeavor for this dharma, artha, kama. So this is Bhagavat Prasada, special mercy of the Supreme Lord, which is durlabha, very difficult to get. But it is available for whom? Akinchana gochara, same point as Queen Kunti Maharani says. So the special mercy of the Lord is available for those who are materially exhausted, who are not materially attached. For them the Lord gives such mercy, by which the devotee is not attracted, not attached, has no desire for all these things. The only desire that the devotee wants is the desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, both in this life and in the next. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, the special mercy for the unalloyed devotee is that the Lord saves him from hard labor to achieve the results of religion, economic development, and sense gratification. Of course, if one wants such benefits, the Lord certainly awards them. So everything is based on what? Desire. So if a devotee has these desires, Krishna will give, no problem, take them. Especially if the devotee is not seriously wanting to get rid of material attachments. If he is happy maintaining material attachments, the Lord will give. But if the devotee wants to get rid of them, then the Lord may do something different. Indra, for example, although a devotee, was not much interested in release from material bondage. Instead, he desired sense gratification and a high standard of material happiness in the heavenly planets. Vritrasur, however, being an unalloyed devotee, aspired only to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Lord arranged for him to go back to Godhead after his bodily bondage was destroyed by Indra. Vritrasur requested Indra to release his thunderbolt against him as soon as possible, so that both he and Indra would benefit according to their proportionate advancement in devotional service. Proportionate advancement in devotional service. So both are devotees, but the advancement of both of them is not the same. and therefore they have different desires. And so Krishna will fulfill desires according to what one desires, according to one's progress. Krishna reciprocates accordingly. So till now, Vritrasur was speaking to Indra. And he is, in verse 23 also, he is addressing Indra. O Indra, Shakra, O Indra. So he's addressing Indra. So till verse 23, he has been talking to Indra and trying to inspire Indra to use the thunderbolt, kill him, so that both of them gain. So that's what he was telling. But then, in spite of speaking all these words, Indra is just standing there, not doing anything. So at this point, according to Vishwachak Thakur, he says that at this point, Vritrasur thought it's useless to speak to this Indra. He is not going to do anything. So therefore, from verse number 24, now Vritrasur begins to meditate on the Supreme Lord and begins to pray to the Supreme Lord. So now from verse number 24, he is not speaking to Indra. Now he is praying to the Supreme Lord. So in meditation, he has darshan of the Supreme Lord, and then he's praying to the Supreme Lord. So very important and prominent famous verse, 24th verse. Aham hare tava padeika moola dasanudaso bhavitasmi bhuyah manasmarate spareta supater gunamste grini tava karma karotu kayah.
O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes. My words will always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship.
Purport.
This verse gives the sum and substance of devotional life. One must first become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord, Dasanu Dasa. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, and he also showed by his own example, that a living entity should always desire to be a servant of the servant of Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. Gope bhartuhu padakamalayur dasa dasanu dasaha. This means that one must accept a spiritual master who comes in the disciplic succession and is a servant of the Lord. Under his direction, one must then engage one's three properties, namely his body, mind, and words. The body should be engaged in physical activity under the order of the master, and the mind should think of Krishna incessantly, and one's words should be engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord. If one is thus engaged in the loving service of the Lord, one's life is successful.
So, bro, this verse gives the sum and substance of devotional life. So he is praying to the Lord. He is expressing his desire. Aham hare tava pad ek moola das anudasa bhavitasmi bhuya. So he is expressing his desire that he simply wants to be the servant of the Supreme Lord. And in this way, he is expressing his desire. And then he is also saying how he wants to serve. So how he wants to serve? Mara smaritasu patir gunamste grinita va karma karotu kaya. So he wants to engage the mind in remembering the Lord, words in glorifying the Lord, the body in serving the Lord. So in this way, he wants to engage in the service of the Lord. So as Prabhupada is writing, this is the verse of the sum and substance. So this is our ultimate aspiration. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us, Gopir Bhartur Padakamalayur, Das, 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 Anadas. And there are many lectures where Srila Prabhupada is speaking on this. And I heard at least in 2 or 3 lectures, Prabhupada says 100 times Das. So that should be our aspiration. And Srila Prabhupada says, why? Because more the number of devotees in front of us, the more mercy we will get. So therefore, sometimes we aspire to become servant directly of the Lord or the spiritual master. We think that's a more fortunate position. But no. Our Siddhanta is, more we become dasanudas, more mercy we receive. That is our Siddhanta. And therefore, we see that Srila Prabhupada also, as we have been seeing yesterday also, he was always in that mood of a servant. Even though he was founder Acharya, spiritual master of thousands of devotees, but still, always maintain that simple attitude, just like any other devotee. You may have heard this, quite a well-known pastime, at the airport. So those days, when Srila Prabhupada would be leaving for some place, then hundreds of devotees would come to see of Srila Prabhupada at the airport. Nowadays, of course, it's not allowed. But those days, hundreds, practically they would take over the airport along with loud kirtan and everything. And so Srila Prabhupada was sitting along with these hundreds of devotees, and it was like a big obstruction for the other passengers. And so one of the airport officials came and told the leader that please tell your people to come to a side. And so the leader, he stood up and he said, so all ISKCON devotees come to one side. And so all the devotees started moving, and Srila Prabhupada also got up to move. And then the leader said, no, not for you, Prabhupada. No, I'm also an ISKCON devotee. So that was Srila Prabhupada's disposition. And Shrutagiti Prabhu and these devotees, so many pastimes they tell of how Srila Prabhupada, he always maintained that simplicity. And he was always in the mood of being a servant, simply trying to serve. He was doing his service, that's all. And again, a well-known pastime of the Amsterdam temple opening, when so many things went wrong. I'm sure most of you know the pastime, right? So that time, when so many mistakes took place, and Srila Prabhupada started chastising devotees in spite of all the TV cameras and newspaper reporters. Why? He was more in the mood of serving and teaching his devotees rather than being interested in popularity. So he didn't care about the TV cameras and newspaper reporters. He was more interested in instructing his disciples. That is mood of service. Okay, we'll tell 2 more pastimes. Srila Prabhupada was in Fiji Islands. This was when there were no devotees there. There was just one life member who later on became Vasudev Prabhu, recently passed away. So this life member had invited to Srila Prabhupada. He was an Indian origin man. So he had invited Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada went along with 2-3 other devotees, servant, secretary. And this life member, very enthusiastic. So he had arranged so many programs for Srila Prabhupada all over Fiji Island. And when the secretary saw the schedule, which this person had made. So the secretary said, no, you cannot arrange so many programs for Srila Prabhupada. His health is not so good. He cannot do so many programs. You have to cut down. But this devotee was not very happy about cutting down the programs. So he went to servant Harishori Prabhu. So Harishori Prabhu told him, okay, you go and speak to Srila Prabhupada directly. So he went to Srila Prabhupada, telling that the secretary says cut down the programs. So then Srila Prabhupada immediately called for the secretary and the servant, and Srila Prabhupada told both of them, I have come to Fiji Islands to serve the people here. Therefore, whatever programs he has arranged, don't cancel anyone. I will do all the programs. That was Srila Prabhupada's reply. Mood of service. That's the mood of service. In 1976, Srila Prabhupada was at New York. At that time, ISKCON had a wonderful 11-storied building at Manhattan, New York. Srila Prabhupada was so pleased with that. That time, they even had a theater auditorium, beautiful auditorium. That was when the Vaikuntha players, they started organizing dramas and everything. So Srila Prabhupada stayed for quite some time over there. And there was an initiation ceremony. Quite a number of devotees, more than 100 devotees took initiation. But immediately after the initiation ceremony, Srila Prabhupada fell very sick. And 2-3 days later, he was scheduled to go to London. So at that time, this is 1976, the movement has expanded all over the world, hundreds of devotees. So many sannyasis, GBCs had come to take association of Srila Prabhupada over there. And they were all requesting Srila Prabhupada, please don't go to London. Srila Prabhupada had his rooms on the top floor, very beautiful. So they were all saying, you have nice facilities here, please stay here, recover, then you can go. Srila Prabhupada was saying, no, I'm scheduled to go, I'm going. And then the day for going came, devotees were still requesting, please stay. Srila Prabhupada said, pack the bags. Prabhupada got the bags packed. And then Srila Prabhupada went into the lift, 11-story. Many devotees got in the lift, senior devotees. The lift is coming down. Still they're requesting Prabhupada, please stay for some time. Prabhupada says, no. And then finally Srila Prabhupada says, do not take away the privilege of allowing me to die like a warrior on the battlefield of preaching. And when Srila Prabhupada said this, understanding Srila Prabhupada's desire, everyone became silent. That was Srila Prabhupada. And then Srila Prabhupada went. He went to London, even though he was so sick. And then Harishori Prabhu describes in his Transcendental Diary what happened when he reached London. After 8 to 10 hours of flight journey, as soon as Srila Prabhupada reached London, he sat in the car. Srila Prabhupada started vomiting. He was so sick. So, that was Srila Prabhupada's mood of service. Simply a servant of the servants. That was Srila Prabhupada's. And so therefore, that's the mood which we need to imbibe. That's the mood of even the gopis of Vrindavan. That's the mood of Srimati Radharani. Same mood. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami describes in the 4th chapter of the Adi Leela how Srimati Radharani, she tries to have other gopis associate with Krishna. She never thinks, I should be the only one. What the other gopis try to do? The other gopis try to get Radha and Krishna together. That is their topmost pleasure, to see Radha and Krishna together. But Srimati Radharani, she is always trying to get other gopis to be with Krishna. So that is the mood of servant of the servants. Always trying to serve others. So this is the sum and substance. So therefore, unless we try to imbibe this mood, then we cannot please Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because that was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. And that is how we need to gradually cultivate the service attitude, because it is the service attitude which pleases Krishna. And we find this very prominently in the pastime of Maharaj Prataprudra. So even though Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to meet Maharaj Prataprudra, there were two significant events which made Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conducive to giving his mercy. What are they? Where? Okay, one is the brooming in front of Lord Chaitanya's Rath cart. But somebody may say, what is so great about that? Nowadays, even politicians do that, right? Now, politician also. Now also it still happens, right? The king of Puri comes and sweeps, no? So what's so great about that? Huh? Yes, it's not simply the external activity of brooming. Mahaprabhu as the Paramatma knew the attitude in which he was brooming, simply as a menial servant. And what's the other? Yes. How he facilitated Ramananda Rai to render service to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the king acted as a servant of Ramananda Rai and facilitated him to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these two events made Mahaprabhu very favorable. And then, of course, finally, when Mahaprabhu asked him, who are you? And so Maharaj Prataprudra, his answer was, my only designation is Das, Das, Anudas, and my only desire is to become Brityera Britya, the servant of the servant. So this is the service attitude, the service mode that we need to cultivate, by which one can please the Lord. As Prabhupada says this, then one's life is successful. So this is desire. And then in the next verse, he's expressing what he does not desire. Because the Lord could say, okay, fine. So I'm ready to give anything. Whatever you want, I can give all these opulences. So therefore he says, Nanaka Prishnam, Nacha Parameshtyam, Na Sarvabhaumam, Na Rasadipatyam, Na Yoga Siddhira Punarbhavam Va, Samanjasatva Virahaya Kangshe.
O my Lord, source of all opportunities, I do not desire to enjoy in Dhruvaloka, the heavenly planets, or the planets where Lord Brahma resides, nor do I want to be the supreme ruler of all the earthly planets or the lower planetary systems. I do not desire to be master of the powers of mystic yoga, nor do I want liberation if I have to give up your lotus feet.
Yes. So if I have to give up your lotus feet, I don't want all this. The most important thing is the desire to serve. So same, Nadanamna Janamna Sundari, similar thing. As Prabhupada writes, a pure devotee never desires to gain material opportunities by rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. A pure devotee desires only to engage in loving service to the Lord in the constant association of the Lord and his eternal associates. As stated in the previous verse, Dasanu Daso Bhavitasmi. As confirmed by Narottam Thakur, Tande Rachana Sevi Bhakta Sanevas, Janme Janme Hoi Ei Abhilash. To serve the Lord and the servants of his servants in the association of devotees is the only objective of a pure, unalloyed devotee. And the 26th verse, Ajata Paksha Iva Mataram Khaga Stanyam Yatha Vatsatarakshudartha Priyam Priyeva Vyushitam Vishanna Manorvindakshadidikshati Tvam.
O lotus-eyed Lord, as baby birds that have not yet developed their wings always look for their mothers to return and feed them, as small calves tied with ropes await anxiously the time of milking, when they will be allowed to drink the milk of their mothers, or as the Morus wife whose husband is always away from home always longs for him to return and satisfy her in all respects. I always yearn for the opportunity to render direct service unto you.
So in the previous verses, Vrithanasura expressed his great longing to be with the Lord and serve the Lord. But in this verse, he's saying, okay, I may have longing for the Lord, but the Lord is independent. I am dependent on him for getting his service and for getting his audience. Because the Lord is Swarat. A devotee may have great longing, but the Lord is always Swarat. Nobody can force the Lord to appear in front of him. And that is why he is speaking this verse. To show that how he has longing, but ultimately it is up to the Lord to reciprocate. And so in this verse, he's showing his helpless situation. So therefore, he's giving these examples. So the first example is giving is what? Ajata Paksha. Ajata Paksha Mataram Khaga. So just like the small birds in the nest. So the small birds in the nest are always afraid. They're afraid of other big birds. They're afraid of the owl. And their wings are just growing, so they cannot fly on their own to get their food. So for everything, they're dependent on the mother. So therefore, he's saying, my situation is like this, just like these small birds. So therefore, he's praying to the Lord, my dear Lord, now it's up to you. So just like the mother bird has to give protection to the small birds, the mother bird has to bring the food and then feed the small birds, then the birds become happy and satisfied. So he's saying, similarly, I have a great longing for you to achieve you, but now it is up to you to give me protection from samsara, to give me protection from the threefold miseries of material existence, and to allow me to render service to you. I'm totally dependent on you for all this. So then the Lord may say, okay, yes, I'm ready to free you from samsara. I'm ready to give you Svargaloka. I'm ready to give you mystic siddhis. I'm ready to give you liberation. I'm ready to give you all this. So then, Vrithanasura is saying, but no, I don't want all that. Because the real nectar which I'm longing for is service to your lotus feet. That is the great nectar. So therefore he gives the next analogy. The next analogy is the calf. Vatsara. Vatsara Kshudartha. So the small calves, Kshud means hunger. They're distressed from hunger. And they're awaiting what? The nectarian milk of the mother cow. So the calves are eagerly waiting. You have seen, no? In Goshalas. Yes. They know specific time, they know. At that specific time, they'll be allowed to go. So they're eagerly waiting, and as soon as they're released, they run to the mother cow. So Dhritarashtra is saying, I'm also eagerly waiting, just like the cows. But then Dhritarashtra thinks, but the calf is only thinking about drinking milk and enjoying himself. Correct? The calf never thinks of serving the mother cow. The calf only thinks of enjoying the milk. So therefore, Dhritarashtra thinks this analogy is also not very appropriate. Therefore, he gives the third analogy. And the third analogy is Priyam Priya Iva Vyushitam Vishanna Manaha. So just like the wife is distressed, morose, because the husband is away. So now the wife is also eager for the husband to return. Why? Because she wants to serve the husband. Because she knows that by serving the husband, she herself will feel happiness and satisfaction. So that is why Dhritarashtra gives this analogy, because this analogy is most appropriate. Because both the analogies of the small birds and the calves, both of them are most selfish. They are only thinking about their pleasure. But the wife, she understands that I will be pleased if I serve the husband. And when the husband is satisfied, I will also be satisfied. So that is the mode in which Dhritarashtra is speaking these different analogies. And in this way, he is expressing his great eagerness. Mana Aravindaksha Didikshate Tvam. So I'm very eager to see you, to serve you. But then you are independent. But you please give me the opportunity to render service. And if I'm able to render service to you, then that will be my greatest pleasure. But then, after telling this, Dhritarashtra is thinking. Now it just reminds me of Haridas Thakur in the Mahaprakash Leela. So in the Mahaprakash Leela, we find Haridas Thakur, he also prays to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please give me the association of devotees and let me always serve in that association. But then Haridas Thakur thinks, but I'm so fallen, how can I even ask this? So then what Haridas Thakur says? He says, no, let me be a dog in the house of a devotee, so the devotee throws some remnants and I will be happy to accept those remnants. So here also, Dhritarashtra, in the previous verse, he is longing for the association of the Lord, opportunity to serve the Lord. And then Dhritarashtra thinks, oh, I'm so fallen, how can I even aspire for this? And therefore he speaks the next verse. Mamottama shloka janeshu sakyam samsara chakre brahmatasva karmabhi tvanmayayatma majdrarageshu asakta chittasya nanatha bhuyat.
O my Lord, my Master, I am wandering throughout this material world as a result of my fruitive activities. Therefore, I simply seek friendship in the association of your pious and enlightened devotees. My attachment to my body, wife, children, and home is continuing by the spell of your external energy, but I wish to be attached to them no longer. Let my mind, my consciousness, and everything I have be attached only to you.
Yeah, so therefore, here he is saying, okay, I don't want to even return to your abode to serve you. Let me remain in this material world. Let me remain in this material world, but what do I want? Uttama shloka janeshu sakyam. Friendship with the devotees of the Lord. So we find that everywhere, all the exalted devotees, they pray for association of devotees. You'll find it in the Mahaprakash Leela. You'll find it Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is also praying for the same thing. And there are other places also in the Bhagavatam you find. Dhruva Maharaj, yes, Dhruva Maharaj also is praying for association. Prahlad Maharaj also is praying for association. And so here we find Vritrasura also praying for the association of devotees. Uttama shloka janeshu sakyam. Because that is the only way we get an opportunity to serve the Lord and please the Lord in the association of devotees. And so therefore, Vritrasura is praying, I don't mind being in the material worlds, but let me be in the association of your, Prabhupada of course says, pious and enlightened devotees. And let my attachment to materialistic people, materialistic association, let all that be cut off. So this is my desire. So these are Vritrasura's very, very beautiful prayers, which give us the very essence of the practices of our devotional services. And therefore, this is a very important section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and a very important lessons we can learn from the teachings of Vritrasura as to what is pure devotional service, what does it mean to be a pure devotee, what should be our desires, what should be our aspirations, are being very clearly expressed here in the prayers of Vritrasura. Thus, in the Bhaktan purport, so the 6th canto, 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Transcendental Qualities of Vritrasura. Any questions? Good. So go to the next chapter, chapter 12, Vritrasura's glorious death. Okay, read the, okay, let's recite. Shri Rishi Ruvacha evam jihasu nripadehamajav mrityum varam vijayan manyamanaha shulam pragrya bhayapatat surendram yatha mahapurusham ketabopsu.
Sri Sukdev Goswami said, desiring to give up his body, Vritrasura considered death in the battle preferable to victory. O King Parikshit, he vigorously took up his trident and with great force attacked Lord Indra, the king of heaven, just as Kaitaba had forcibly attacked the Supreme Personality of Godhead when the universe was inundated.
So till now what is happening? So Indra is standing there with his Vajra. He's not attacking because he's thinking that just like the club failed, so the Vajra also may fail. So therefore he's just standing there. So therefore Vritrasura thinks, now at least let me attack so that he'll be inspired to use the Vajra and kill me. So that is the mode in which he's attacking, to inspire Indra to fight, because he is not fighting. So that's what Prabhupada writes in the purport also. Although Vritrasura repeatedly encouraged Indra to kill him with a thunderbolt, King Indra was morose at having to kill such a great devotee and was hesitant to throw it. Vritrasura, disappointed that King Indra was reluctant despite his encouragement, took the initiative very forcefully by throwing his trident at Indra. Vritrasura was not at all interested in victory. He was interested in being killed so that he could immediately return home back to Godhead. Tyaktva deham punarjanmanaiti. After giving up his body, devotee immediately returns to Lord Krishna, never returns to accept another body. This was Vritrasu's interest. So with this motive, he is fighting vigorously to inspire Indra to fight and kill him. Okay, read the next translation.
Then Vritrasur, the great hero of demons, whirled the trident, which had points like the flames of the blazing fire at the end of the millennium. With great force and anger, he threw it at Indra, roaring and exclaiming loudly, "O sinful one, thus shall I kill you."
Okay, so in this way he threw his trident. Next.
Flying in the sky, Vritrasur's trident resembled a brilliant meteor. Although the blazing weapon was difficult to look upon, King Indra, unafraid, cut it to pieces with his thunderbolt. Simultaneously, he cut off one of Vritrasur's arms, which was as thick as the body of Vasuki, the king of serpents.
Okay, so Vritrasur threw his trident, but Indra also is expert. So he cut the trident to pieces with his vajra and also cut off one of Vritrasur's arms. Next.
Although one of his arms was severed from his body, Vritrasura angrily approached King Indra and struck him on the jaw with an iron mace. He also struck the elephant that carried Indra. Thus Indra dropped the thunderbolt from his hand.
So now Vritrasur, even though one of his hand was cut, still he attacked Indra, hit him on the jaw. And he also struck the elephant. So again Indra dropped his vajra. So again Indra is morose. Next.
The denizens of various planets like the demigods, demons, charanas, siddhas praised Vritrasura's deeds. But when they observed that Indra was in a great danger, they lamented, "Alas, alas."
Next.
Having dropped the thunderbolt from his hand in the presence of his enemy, Indra was practically defeated and was very much ashamed. He dared not to pick up his weapon again. Vritrasura, however, encouraged him, saying, "Take up your thunderbolt and kill your enemy. This is not the time to lament your fate."
Okay, so again Indra is disappointed. He doesn't want to fight. So now again Vritrasur, again is going to encourage him to fight. So now again Vritrasur is speaking some philosophical verses to encourage Indra to fight. So again a set of very important verses, philosophical verses. So let's read. 7th verse. Yud satam kutrachid atatayinam jaya sadai katra navai paratmanam vinayikam utpatti laya stitishwaram sarvagyamadhyam purusham sanatanam.
Vritrasura continued, "O Indra, no one is guaranteed of being always victorious, but the original and enjoyer, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and he knows everything. Being dependent and being obliged to accept material bodies, belligerent subordinates are sometimes victorious and sometimes defeated."
So here now Vritrasura is speaking this philosophy of how results in the performance of duties are not within our hands. This is the essential philosophical theme that he's focusing on. Of course, again, it's Bhagavad Gita philosophy only. We can, in fact, that was the same thing what even Krishna was telling Arjuna in the 2nd chapter, verses 31 to 38. There also Krishna is speaking that, of course, later on in the Bhagavad Gita also, that how we can only perform duty, but victory, defeat, all this is not within our hands. So this is the same thing Vritrasura is saying. No one is guaranteed that one will always be victorious. Jaya Sadha, never going to happen. That is in the hands of Paramatmanam. So therefore, he is saying that ultimately it's only the Supreme Lord who is creator, maintainer, destroyer. Ultimately, he is only victorious. And as far as the jivas are concerned, They will be sometimes victorious, sometimes defeated. That is the nature of this material world. So Prabhupada begins his purport with Sarvasya Chamriti Sanvishtam Matta Smritir Jnanam Apohanam and Prakrute Kriyamanani Gune Karmani Sarvasya. And then he writes, victory is always with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As for the subordinate living entities, they fight under the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Victory or defeat is not actually theirs. It is an arrangement by the Lord through the agency of material nature. Pride in victory or moroseness in defeat is useless. One should fully depend on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is responsible for the victory and defeat of all living entities. The Lord advises, this Bhagavad Gita, Niyatam kuru karmatvam karmajayo hi akarmanaha. Perform your prescribed duty, for action is better than inaction. The living entity is ordered to act according to his position. Victory or defeat depends on the Supreme Lord. And then again, karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of actions. One must act sincerely according to his position. Victory or defeat depends on the Lord. So what one must do? Act sincerely according to one's position. Position means what? Yes, varnashram duties. So in that verse, karmani evadikaraste, there karma refers to varnashram duties. So according to one's position, according to one's varna and ashram, one needs to perform one's duties. But victory or defeat, the results depend on the Lord. Of course, while performing one's duty, one must perform the duty with full enthusiasm, as if the result depends on one's endeavors. So while performing duty, one should not be lazy, thinking that anyways, result is not in my hand. So why should I be enthusiastic? I'll do something. Lord will see, okay, we get good result, bad result. No. So therefore, in that same verse, karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbur mate asango astva akarmani. So therefore, first thing Krishna says is, mate karma phala hetu. Don't think of yourself to be the cause of the results, the hetu for the results. Because as soon as I think I am the cause of the results, what is the next thing? I want to enjoy. I become attached. Because who's the cause of the result? I. So materialistic person, that's what he does, right? He earns money and then he thinks, I worked hard, I won the money, so who should enjoy? Obviously I. So same thing even as devotees. So if we think, so if the fund collectors think, I have got this money. If I don't get this money, how will the temple run? So if as soon as one thinks, I have done this, immediately the next thing that happens is what? Attachment. Then immediately they start demanding, hey, what facilities you're giving? We're getting so much money. How do you think you're running your temple? These things happen. Or those are preachers. Sometimes we find they will say, hey, we are getting all the people. That is why your temple is running. If we don't get the people, what you will do? So then immediate next thing is what? Pride. Attachment, pride. I think so. We told that incident in previous class, I think, right? Of that preacher who was not allowed to construct a temple. I told? Maybe in some class I told him. So anyways, so there was one in one place. So a preacher was sent to preach over there, and he preached very nicely. And so big congregation, 300, 400 devotees congregation, quite a few of them got initiated. And so the preaching was flourishing, very nice. And then as the congregation expands, then obviously there's a need to have a bigger place, construct a temple. So he approached his spiritual master and the local GBC. So he said, okay, please wait for some time. There are some other projects also coming in this area. After some years, you can do that. But he was getting impatient. So he approached twice, thrice, he approached, and he was getting the same answer. But then when he was refused, then at a certain point of time, this is how the mind cheats. And the mind gives funny ideas. Then he thought, hey, what is this? I'm doing so much service here. I'm preaching. I'm getting all these people. So many people became devotees because of my efforts. I made all these devotees. I'm getting all the funds. And they're not allowing me to construct the temple. If I stay in ISKCON, I cannot grow. These people will choke me up, suffocate me. And you know how when such thoughts come into the mind, then boom, the mind goes on expanding more and more. And so finally he came to the conclusion, useless to stay in ISKCON, I will leave. And so, and then when he thought of leaving, then there are many people outside waiting for customers. So some Radhakund Baba caught him. And then he proposed to his followers also, come on, all of us will go. Many of them are fortunately intelligent. They refused. Some of them went. But then he left. Of course, it created a great disturbance in the preaching in that area. And of course, some other preachers were sent, all that happened. But the point is that this is what happens when one thinks, I am the doer. I am the cause of the results of my activities. And therefore, I am the enjoyer. I have a right to demand. All these problems, so many places we find. And so many problems. Therefore, Krishna is saying, what? Mate karma phala heturbu. Don't think yourself to be the cause of the results. Because that's a fact. If Krishna does not give us the results, can we get? As Prabhupada says, everyone is working hard to earn money. Does everyone become rich? No. Okay, then somebody may say, okay, I cannot be the enjoyer of the results. So therefore, why to earn results only? Why to work in the first place? Because anyways, I cannot enjoy the results. So therefore, last what Krishna is saying? Mate asango astva akarmani. Don't be attached to not performing your duties. Because that's what will happen. One will think, why should I perform my duty only? If I cannot enjoy the results, why should I perform my duty? So therefore, Krishna says, don't be attached to not performing your duties. So Krishna has trapped the jiva from all sides. And again, the same thing Krishna says in 3rd chapter, 30th verse. What is that? थोड़ा भगवत गीता रिवाइज करते रहो, ऐसा ना एज इट इज रख दिया अभी. यस, मयि सर्वाणि कर्माणि सन्न्यस्याध्यात्म चेतसा निराशीर निर्ममो भूत्वा युध्यस्व विगत ज्वरा. So there also Krishna is saying, you fight for me, Mayi Sarvani Karmani, all your activities are for me. And you perform all your activities in a spirit of renunciation, Sanyasya Adhyatma Chetasa. In a spirit of renunciation, you perform them. Nirashi, don't have asha for fruits. Nirmama, give up this mamatva, I and mine. Okay, I'm not interested in fighting. Then Krishna says, no, Yudhyasva Vigata Jwara, fight with full enthusiasm, giving up laziness. So while performing duty, one has to do that with full enthusiasm. But when it comes to results, be detached. This is how one has to function in this world. Same thing here also Vritrasura is saying. That's what Srila Prabhupada is explaining. So, if we act in this way, then one can be happy. Because Krishna is pleased with his attitudes. Act with full enthusiasm, depend on Krishna for the results. And when the results come, what to do? Enjoy. Results for Krishna, not for me. Then one can be happy. This is how one needs to work. And that's what Vritrasura is telling Indra. Now Indra is so attached to victory and defeat. Therefore he is thinking, who knows, this Vajra will work, not work. So he has all this problem. Of course, Vritrasura has full confidence that the Vajra will work. And so therefore he is inspiring him to fight. And he's saying victory and defeat depends on the Lord. You do your duty of fighting. Now Prabhupada is very nicely paraphrasing. Vritrasura encouraged Indra saying, don't be morose because of my victory. So it apparently appeared that Vritrasura was victorious, isn't it? Indra's Vajra fell off. There is no need to stop fighting. Instead, you should go on with your duty. When Krishna desires, you will certainly be victorious. And then Prabhupada is writing, this verse is very instructive for sincere workers in the Krishna consciousness movement. Very instructive. For whom? For all of us. We should not be jubilant in victory or morose in defeats. We should make a sincere effort to implement the will of Krishna or Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we should not be concerned with victory and defeat. Our only duty is to work sincerely so that our activities may be recognized by Krishna. Our only duty is to work sincerely so that our activities may be recognized by Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada, in some of his lectures, Srila Prabhupada says, encouraging his disciples. So sometimes not many people would come for programs and things like that. So Srila Prabhupada says in some of his lectures, he says, there is no need to be morose that no one has come for program or you have not got donations for life membership. There's no need to be morose. Because we are simply performing our duties. We are simply preaching because, why? Who has given instruction? Yes, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given instruction. What instruction? Yare deko tare kaho Krishna upadesh amar ajnai guru hoy tar desh. So because it's Mahaprabhu's instruction we are preaching. Whether people will come or not come, that is up to the Lord. So of course a preacher can make adjustments in preaching strategies based upon the response. That is allowed. But one should not be too much attached to the results. And then in some lectures, Prabhupada says, my Guru Maharaj would say, even if no one comes, preach to the four walls. That's a duty. Mahaprabhu has given instruction, so we are preaching. So we perform our duties without being attached to the results. So Prabhupada is writing. And this is exactly what Prabhupada did. Initially, when Srila Prabhupada was preaching, how many people were coming? 3, 4. And Srila Prabhupada is so enthusiastic. Srila Prabhupada writes letters to his god brother saying, now 4 people are getting interested in Krishna consciousness. Mahaprabhu's movement is spreading in the West. If 4 people come for our program, how many of us will be enthusiastic? But that's the mode of the acharyas. It is said, Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Thakur, if a devotee would go and sell one, what was that? It was not Back to God at that time. Harmonist, right. Some small magazine. Still, Bhakti Vaibhav Thakur would be very happy that somebody has done some service. Okay, next, 8th verse. Loka sapala yasye me shvasanti vibhasha vashe dvija iva shicha baddha sakala iha karanam. पढ़ो या आगे दे दो ना माइक.
All living beings in all the planets, all living beings in all the planets of this universe, including the presiding deities of all the planets, are fully under the control of the Lord. They work like birds caught in a net, who cannot move independently.
Purport.
The difference between the suras and the asuras is that the suras know that nothing can happen without the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the asuras cannot understand the supreme will of the Lord. In this fight, Vitrasura is actually the Sura, whereas Indra is the Asur. No one can
is directly saying Indra is Asura.
No one can act independently. Rather, everyone acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, victory and defeat come according to the results of one's karma, and the judgment is given by the Supreme Lord. Karmana Daiva Netrena. Since we act under the control of the Supreme according to our karma, no one is independent. From Brahma down to the insignificant ant, whether we are defeated or victorious, the Supreme Lord is always victorious because everyone acts under his directions.
Yeah, so the same theme. Ultimately, everyone is fully under the control of the Supreme Lord. No one is independent. So one falsely thinks oneself to be independent. I'm independent, I can do this, I can do that. But who is independent? What is one's independence in this world? So many times in the Shastra, so many places, this analogy is given to show the jiva's full control, jiva's fully being controlled by the Supreme Lord and the laws of nature, the laws of Shastra. Anyone knows what is that analogy? To show how the jiva is fully controlled. Yes. Again and again that analogy comes of the bull, which is controlled by the farmer with the help of rope going through the nose. Again and again that analogy is given. Why? That bull has no independence. So when the person pulls the rope, the bull has to turn because he gets pain over there. And if he does not obey, he'll pull more pain. So he's forced to obey. So that is how the jiva is controlled. No independence. Whatever independence we have, minute so-called independence. Free will is there. But even to utilize that, free will also, Hardly any independence actually. Because even that free will is controlled by the three modes, or at least is influenced by the three modes. So practically independence of the jiva is very small, very, very minute. So therefore we have to understand this. Therefore nothing to be proud of here. Nothing to be proud. Only if the Lord sanctions will be able to do something. We think, oh, I'm a great person, I'll do this, I'll do that. What we can do? So one of our ISKCON temples had organized a huge pandal program, one youth festival. Called VIPs and so many people, senior devotees, huge program it was. Huge pandal was made, everything organized, spent so much of money. So everything was set. The program was to take place the next day, and at night, Indradev showed special mercy. The entire pandal flew off. What to do? Any control? Zero control. What control? In some 1-2 hours, finished. Program had to be cancelled. Maybe they postponed 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever. What is our control? We can make big, big plans, do this, do that. If Krishna wants, just like that. By the movement of his fingers, everything can change. That's the reality we have to understand. If we understand this reality, then we'll automatically become humble and depend on the Lord's mercy. Then we will stop making plans during japa. Why do we make plans during japa? Why? Because we think we'll make plans and we'll be successful, right? That's why we make plans. But if we understand, I can make big, big, wonderful plans, unless the Lord sanctions, nothing is going to move, then we will think better chant and attract Lord's mercy than some plan will work. That is what, these are things we have to understand and realize. That is why all this is being spoken here by Vritrasura. No one can act independently, rather everyone acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, for the common people, victory and defeat come according to the results of one's karma. And as far as devotees are concerned, victory and defeat are controlled by the Lord himself. But ultimately, in either case, one is not independent. So that is what, therefore he's giving example. He's giving example of what? Dvija iva shicha baddha. He is giving example of the birds caught in a net who cannot move independently. Krishna. So he says, similarly, everyone is being controlled by Kala. Kala iha karanam. Kala is controlling everyone. But who is Kala? That is the energy of the Supreme Lord. Okay, read the next one, translation.
Our sensory prowess, mental power, bodily strength, living force, immortality and mortality are all subject to the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not knowing this, foolish people think the dull material body to be the cause of their activities.
Yes. So everything is being controlled by the Supreme Lord, but not knowing this, foolish people think, okay, I am the cause of all my activities. I am doing on my own. Of course, we know 5 factors of action in the 18th chapter of the Gita. What are they? Adhishtanam, Karta, Karanam, Cheshta, Daivam. So ultimately, Daivam. So unless the sanction is given by Daivam, no use. 10. Yatha darumayi nari, yatha patramayo mriga, evam bhutani magavan ishatantrani viddhibo.
O King Indra, as a wooden doll that looks like a woman, or as an animal made of grass and leaves, cannot move or dance independently, but depends fully on the person who handles it. All of us dance according to the desire of the Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead. No one is independent.
So the same theme is continuing, that no one is independent. Here is giving a few analogies here. So it's giving an analogy of the wooden doll, Darumayi Nari. So the woman doll, no independence, or like the puppets, fully depends on the puppeteer. So similarly, all of us, we have to dance. Evam bhutani, ishatantrani, ishatantrani. Everyone is under the control of Isha. No one is independent. So therefore, understanding this, the intelligent devotee, he surrenders his independence to the Supreme Lord. So therefore, in the Markandeya Bhagavad Dharma, Srila Prabhupada is giving same example. Right? What? Nachao, 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 semate. Next line kya? Ashtaputli. Same thing. Puppets. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is voluntarily giving up his independence to the Supreme Lord. You make me dance. Anyways, you are going to do that. Anyways, we have to dance according to the Lord's tunes. So why not do it voluntarily? If we don't do it voluntarily, then we'll be forced. Then it'll cause a lot of distress. So if anyways we have to dance according to the Lord's tunes, why not do it voluntarily? That is intelligence. Otherwise, we'll make our plans, Lord has his plans, then both the plans will clash. Then there'll be so much of distress, moroseness, so much problem. But if we surrender our independence to the Supreme Lord, my dear Lord, take my independence, you do whatever you want. So of course, it doesn't mean we don't make plans. We can make our plans, but what? Detached. We can make our plans, but ultimately we have to be detached, understanding not my plan will work, but Krishna's plan is what is going to work. If we know that, that was how Srila Prabhupada acted in this world. Prabhupada made his plans, but so many things happened. But Srila Prabhupada, he was totally dependent on Krishna. Therefore, Prabhupada is quoting, Ekaleshwara Krishna arasabhibhritya yare yache nachaya se taiche kare nritya. We are all servants of Krishna. We have no independence. We are dancing according to the desire of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But out of ignorance and illusion, we think we are independent of the Supreme Will. Therefore, it is said, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sajadananda Vigraha Anadi Adi Govinda Sarvakarana Karana. Okay, fine. We'll stop here and continue tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll finish the rest of the 12th chapter and the 13th chapter. 13th chapter is small chapter. So that will finishes this section of Vritrasur. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.